unfortunately, I can't tell you about certain. I'd love to give you. I'd love to drop some words, but I
tried
just
really
can't.
hard. Didn't you?
I did. Yeah,
you tried really hard.
What about when we stopped recording, Marco? What about when we stopped recording?
Oh wow.
Off the record, I'll tell you something.
Hey, I feel bad now. Like everyone that's watching this, I'm so sorry. Use the what? No, because then I have to get up to do that.
Wow.
Do it.
Someone gets you a gift and you don't even use it.
Ricky's going to do it.
Man, that's just wow.
There's absolutely nothing on it, but we're still going to do it.
There you go. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Looks good. That's
awesome,
really good.
Awesome. So, guys, welcome back to the second season of the Beyond the Boards podcast. We're joined by our first host, Marco, a.k.a. The Wolf. Marco, if you'd be so kind enough to... If you'd be so kind enough to give us a little bit of a background on who you are, what you do, and what makes you so unique.
Unique. I love that name. I love that word. Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Chris, for having me. So my name is Marco Argentino, and I got basically 40 years of hockey and background with me, and specifically customizing and repairing hockey gear. And I got my start when I was very, very young. My father was a shoemaker by trade, and my dad had a shop in the city of Verdun. Now, Verdun is just in the suburbs of Montreal, southwest, and Verdun was always a hockey mecca. I played my very young first hockey then when I was about 5, first time I stepped on the ice. And my dad, within the shoe repair shop, always had people come in to either sharpen skates, repair, sew gloves, stuff like that. My dad had this very, very old sharpening machine that was on a pedestal, and it was a single head sharpening machine. And I remember my dad was sharpening skates, and I was always fascinated by watching my dad do that. And I think it was maybe 12, and I asked my dad, says, that really looks cool. And I remember my dad taking a little soap box, flipping upside down, and stood me on it, and I sharpened my very first pair of skates, my skates at 12. And I thought that for a 12-year-old to be able to sharpen a pair of skates. But my dad had something else in mind. So he said, by the way, there's 4 other pairs on the floor. Do you mind sharpening those too?
You landed yourself into a job nice and early.
Yeah, nice and early. And you know what? If I look back on that one memory of 12 years old, who would have thought that 40 years later I'd be sharpening skates for guys like Sidney Crosby and other guys who would walk into the company to get skates sharpened, you know. So it's a wonderful memory of something of a childhood memory that's still with me, you know, something that my dad passed on to me. And from that time, my dad taught me how to sew. My dad had a sewing machine, and I learned how to sew my first pair of palms on a pair of gloves, which were horrible. The fingers were all crooked, but my dad's very patient. He says, here, take this old pair of gloves, put these palms on, and the fingers were like twisted on the glove. And he says, okay, take them off and try them again. And then he would show me how to, little tricks of the trade of how to set the glove on properly. And then once you did that, it just became something very simple, you know. And so from that, being part of the family business. And I think one of the turning points was 91. That's when I started doing work for the Montreal Canadiens. My dad always did a little bit of work. The Montreal Canadiens used to practice at the old Verdun Auditorium on the Saturday. And Eddie Paulchek, the equipment manager, would every once in a while pop in and bring something to sew. And I remember him bringing a beat up old pair of Dow skates, and these skates turned out to be Guy Lafleur skates. And my dad goes, you know whose skates these belong to? And he goes, these are Guy Lafleur's. And I look at him, no, they're not. These are way too old. There's no way someone's going to be able to play with these skates. And there were, you know, and these are things. And that's where my passion of being hands-on and working and slowly moving in. And in 91, I became the unofficial repair guy for the Montreal Canadiens. And I did it for 14 years. And it allowed me to meet so many players and it upped my my skill as a workman and working with the Canadians. I remember being told, no, this is not good enough. We're expecting more. This is the Canadian. This is NHL, and it forced me to either I quit or I push through it. And I'm a guy who doesn't quit, and I love challenges, and it pushed the skill level of my work. And today, anybody who shows up with anything, my gears are already spinning. How do I fix this? How do I modify this? How do I create this to work and fit? And this is what I've been doing. And for me, it comes second nature. So someone comes up and says, I don't think this can be done. I'll take on that challenge to see how those creative juices. And in 2004, that was the year of the NHL lockout. Market, things had changed, and so I closed the family business back then, and I had an opportunity to go work for CCM, and CCM called on me and they said, would you be interested in working with us? And I said, absolutely. So I had spent 9 months out of the hockey business till I got back in. And the last 14 and a half years I've been with CCM. I've been working with the R&D department, working mainly with pros. Now I'm with the advanced team. We're working on advanced product for the company, and I still take care of our key guys. So the Crosbys and the John Tavarises and the Matt Duchene of the McDavid. These are the guys that I'll take care of and making sure that whatever they need is custom and up to the point. And so there's a great opportunity. You know, I've been since I've been with CCM, I've been to 11 All-Star games. I've been to 11 of them.
Jeez.
And one world champion. So that was in Toronto. So it's awesome to be able to work with the caliber of these players at that level. And but it's not just what it brought me working with these guys is that even if someone who is a young guy who's just starting and the passion of playing the game, if there's a special need, I'm there. I'm going to help them out. You know, the company has been really good of paying it forward, especially if children have a handicap or not able to play the game because the gear doesn't fit. They have allowed me to use the workshop lab to customize equipment for children or even adults that have either an amputee or a malformality of the body and get them on the ice. So that's really important to me as well. And then it's really great to be able to help people with my skills and my talents on that. And it's for me, it's just I go into work every day loving what I'm doing. You know, I go in with a skip and a jump. It's not like I'm not going there. I love my job. I love what I do. I love what it brings forward, the challenges, and it's always about the passion of the game and passion of hockey and sharing that, you know, and it's just great.
I remember seeing that the pair of I think it was a pair of goalie mitts that you did for a young boy that had like an abnormality in his hands, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on CCM's Instagram and also on your Instagram. That was cool. Like it's like the kid had like a pretty severe abnormality of his fingers where they were incredibly short. Yeah. And I guess obviously that would restrict him from being able to put them into the pads properly, and then you adapted them to be able to fit his hands. Absolutely. That was really cool. I saw that. Yeah.
So that's it. And that's it. You know what? And you have a young boy that's passionate about playing and wanting to play, and he did not let that be a problem for him. And he just needed a little tweak on his gear, and all of a sudden he's there and loving the game. And so I'm still in contact with his mom and him on Facebook. So I follow up, and every time he goes through a season, I get to see a picture. So it's really cool. It's really cool to be able to see that. And I have done probably a dozen of these types of jobs, of modifying and customizing to allowing them to be able to get on the ice. So that's really cool.
It's epic. But in terms of the customizations that you've done over the last season, are there any that kind of really stand out in terms of the job that you were able to do, and how much of it you're actually able to share?
Well, are you talking with the pro guys or
just anything in general?
Oh, well, yeah. For me, it's I have over the last 7 or 8 years, my regular NHL guys that I customize, each one has a particular like John. If you look at images, if you go online, if you look at John Tavares, he has a very specific palm. I do a special customization for Sidney Crosby. Same thing for Matt Duchene, and for me, they just come in and I know what they need and I'll apply them, And so even a guy like John Tavares, who's now in Toronto, he has a very specific, very thin black palm on his glove, and so he'll start the season with 6 pairs, and so he'll get 3 at the practice ring, 3 at the game ring, and he'll rotate through them. And Brian Papineau, who's the head equipment manager in Toronto, what he'll do is he'll send me 1 or 2 pair at a time. I'll repalm them and I'll send them back, and that'll go throughout the season. So I'll probably do it 2 or 3 times a year. I'll repalm and I'll send back the gloves. He once his gloves are broken in, he doesn't want to go into a new pair of gloves. And then you'll get other players who love the feel of a new glove, and so they'll wear a glove a month and a half, switch over, and then they'll go through. These guys need more gloves than other guys, but it's whatever the player needs, whatever allows them to step on the ice and not think of anything else but the game. And as long as their hockey gear is working for them, then no news is good news for me. So when I get a phone call or email or something's not right, it's because something went through without passing through me, or actually I made a mistake, or I'll have to go back and see what I missed out, or there's something that changed in the recipe and I got to figure out what happens. But that doesn't happen very often. Usually once we settle down on the recipe, it goes easy. It's not a big issue. It's just as long as and we're always ahead of the curve too. So it's always whatever we're doing is stuff they already start their season and we'll get stuff ready, either the playoffs. So if the playoffs kick in, if they get it done by the beginning of July, then I'm pretty sure there's going to be some stuff that needs to get done, in preparation to that.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, how do you see that going in terms of people getting back on the ice? How is it looking from your side?
Well, right now we're just starting the deconfinement here in Montreal. It's slowly. We were shut down since the 13th of March. Everything got completely shut down, and so there's not all the arenas have ice on them yet. So they're slowly putting back ice, but with the restrictions, it's going to be less players on the ice. They're trying to figure out how they can do it and do it safely. Mm-hmm. I think if the NHL can get the guys back on the ice safely, then it's going to be good for hockey overall. But I personally think there's a lot of moving parts. Try to get 20 teams in 1 or 4 locations to get it going. It's if they achieve it, I know they can. It's just how do they do it safely? But there's a lot of moving parts, and I'm hoping that they can. But it's I see it as they have a lot of work ahead of them to be able to get it done safely. But if it does, it's going to be really, really good for hockey to get it back going.
For sure. So no, I agree.
I'm positive. I'm hoping that it's going to be there and it's going to be well. So as long as we can keep people safe. So that's what we're doing too. Even on our end, we're working on how do we get kids back on the ice and get on the ice safely, so the parents feel safe, the kids feel safe, and they can get on the ice and play relatively easily. But it's depending on the rinks. Some of the rinks are older. Some of the rooms are not as big as they need to be. So they're working out how do they work the details. Do they get dressed up and they only have to put their skates on to step on the ice, shorter amount of time. I don't think there's going to be any games at the beginning, especially with the younger kids. I think it's going to be more training, and then they'll move on from there. But it's just to get, as soon as people feel that it's they feel safe enough to be able to do it, and what are we able to help them get back on the ice, then we'll move forward on that point. And so we've been working very hard since the very beginning to make sure that things are available for them to get on the ice and that they can feel safe about it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely key. That's definitely key. But coming back to the side of the equipment, I know you had some questions, Mr. Tommy, about just new gear that's coming out, and any questions that Marco might be able to help with.
I think one of my main questions I wanted to ask was, does McDavid still use the old Super Tack stick, the original one? Do you know which one
Yeah.
I'm talking about? Does he actually still use that stick, or is that just wrapped like that?
Well, you know what? When it comes to some of the older guys, they get used to a certain stick, a feel flex, and they don't want to move out of it very quickly. But even though we have newer sticks, newer products on it, we always try to say here, it's hard to get a guy into something new once they start the season. So it's in the downtime that we will introduce them into a newer model, newer product, and get them into the understanding. Because in the sticks, I'm not the expert in sticks, but the guys who are we have two biomechanics that are working with us, and we have that. Have you seen the new lab upstairs with the skate? I don't know if you have a chance, or you've seen the lab that we have
with the synthetic ice
camera with the synthetic. So the guys that come in there, once they understand the science behind the work that we do with the sticks, and they actually come with old sticks, different versions of recipes and sticks, and they get on the ice and they start shooting, and they see the video on the camera, and they're able to see, oh really, this kick point, that flex point, and all of a sudden they're saying, well, if you use this sticks with this recipe, your accuracy of hitting the net is reduced. So 5 out of 10 shots now 7 out of 10 shots you're going to hit the net because of how the sticks works. And it's all about them understanding, educating the player. This is the science behind why we do this. And that sometimes takes a little bit longer, but once you get one or two players and they understand the science and they get behind it, it's an easier way to change. But some players have a sense of what it feels, and they'll stick to what they're using. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's
So who was you told us?
I've told Chris this 100 times. He's asked me and Tommy countless times, would you be able to, tell a stick apart? And I think, like you just said, the experienced guys you got that come to you and, say, I want you to make this look new, but I'll use whatever I have to. I'm using it at the moment. Yeah. I told you, Chris kind of made it out that we were talking in riddles, or, this was a bit of a hoax and a fairy tale. But no, some guys just are used to what they're used to.
I get
guys
that.
will use old model sticks until, like I said, you can't get them anymore. So I did have a couple of questions kind of following on from what Tommy asked. So like you said, the pro guys that you deal with, besides obviously sticks, do they kind of come with you with a list at the start of the season or the summer to say, I know your new stuff's coming out, but can you incorporate what I'm using into, I don't know, like gloves, like skate holders, steel holders and stuff like that? Or is it just the basis of, sticks and gloves, which is, I'm guessing, pretty normal for those guys to want new stuff?
Well, each guy, especially at the higher end level, we work very closely with them to make sure that they have the guys know what they need. They have a sense of what they're looking for. And so we're always looking to give them the new technologies and the new product of what we're coming up with, because we're always in looking at what does the player need? What does the hockey equipment of the future looks like? And how can we slowly move that in there? If you look at what just the transformation to the 3D boot, okay, that we brought into it, just that alone, the transformation of how that technology came in and how we brought it in. At the beginning, people say, oh, what's this? Not too sure about it. But once it goes in and it proves that it is efficient and it proves that it's making them better, because the products there, they help them improve their what they're able to use with the gear. And so when they come into it and they're confident about it, it's much easier going to it. But if you take a guy like even Sid Crosby or John Tavares, some of these guys have shoulder pads that they have since they were juniors, and they don't want to get out of it. And some of it has to do with comfort. Something has to do with superstitions.
Yeah, it's just
what they want. They just want to go with and they don't want to change it. And other guys, no problem. New pair of elbow pads, new pair of shin pads. They'll move out to it. Some guys just want to stay into what they have. It has to do with how they feel on the ice when they get on. If they get on the ice, I bet it happens to you too. If you think about it, even the regular beer league guy, you pop on the ice and you have something new and you get on the ice. this doesn't
you
feel right.
it when it's not on right.
That's not right. And then you're on the ice and you're not focusing on the game. You're this is bugging me. If something gets on your nerve and you don't want to, and all of a sudden you're not playing your game the way and you get off the ice and that was really bad. I didn't play. So you get back into it. I've been playing goaltending since I was a kid, and they said, "Oh yeah, we got these new pads," and I go, "No, I like my old pads." And I get a new pair of pads on there. That first game, it's this rebounds are here, and you're all over the place. But once if you break them down, but I had a set of pads that I go and I tried them for a month and I put them aside. And said, "No, these ones are not me." I went back to my old ones. But that's just that personal when it comes into it, But at the level of these guys, at the pro level where these guys are, and what they need for their skill set, we make sure that they have what they need. And if we have to incorporate some of the old technology into the new product just for that player, we'll do it. They have to make sure that when they're on the ice, they're comfortable. They got the thumbs up is there, and they're comfortable on it. And so, but what that does is when we create the top line stuff, that always trickles down into the retail. It brings it down to the retail. So you have those technologies that will follow to help the younger kids come into it. And these young kids are on the ice. They're looking at the players. They're noticing what they know. Everything. They notice everything they come in. Ovi comes in and he's wearing a skate lace to tie his hockey pants. And all of a sudden, kids are coming in and are buying a hockey lace and they're putting it on their hockey pants. And then all of a sudden, well, there's a trend. And now you go into the store and, well, it's a hockey lace on the tie because that's what the kids want. There's something that the kids bring into it that they connect to. So we learn from them. We listen to what they have to say. It's important. What it is and what are the needs and how can we help them get on the ice and enjoy the game that they're playing and staying safe as well.
OV fanboy, I'm sure you got questions.
I actually wanted to ask about the curves, because are the curves that are sold like in store, are they actually the curves that the pros use, or are they just like on the sticks to sell them?
No, if you see some of the curves that these pros use, you wouldn't be able to shoot with them. You would look at that and you go, what the heck is that? So, and you can take someone like Sid Crosby, who plays with a very, very, very straight stick with just a little curve on it. And then you go to the store, someone's not gonna buy that curve because I can't play with that curve, but it's made specifically for the player. The player knows what he wants and it will have it, so some of these guys have curves that look like a golf wedge, it's from the heel and it's turned in and you go, okay, it works for him. That's what it does. But most people won't be able to play with it.
Do you know what the reason is?
Hey,
sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to ask, do you know what the reason is for them not being like exact copies? Because essentially, even though it was a crazy curve, is it a case of it would be too difficult for the majority of people to use, so you have to try and find a happy medium?
Well, I think that we got too many players and they would have just way too many SKUs. So we have to keep it. I think there's 4 or 5 models that we have in listing. So we have to have a certain amount. So I'm pretty sure that there are some that are very standard that the players use with, and it's exactly what they have, and this is what they're comfortable with, and you'll find ones very close. Some of them have maybe the kick point's different on the pro stick and the angle slightly different, so it would affect how the stick would do. So we're always trying to make a stick that's going to perform very well for the player. Now, if you go in there and you grab a stick and you're going in there and it says, "Oh, this is a very particular curve on there, but it might work for you, Chris, but it might not work for 9 other people," and so there would be too many SKUs, too variable on there, and how many retail stores are going to end up with same model stick with 15 different curves? So that's why it has to be down to a certain standard.
Yeah, that makes complete sense when you look at it that way. Okay, Ricky's asking, I don't know if you can hear me, he's asking what is the most challenging or the proudest piece of work that you've done thus far?
Oh my God, in 40 years?
A lot.
That's a lot. Well, I'll share this story with you if you don't mind going back in the day. So when I was working with the Montreal Canadiens back in the day, so this is before my CCM days, back at the shop when I was working, Patrick Roy, when he was playing with the Canadiens, had his co-pad. So when they won the Stanley Cup in '93, so that's the last time a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. That's how far back it goes. So his Coho pads, it came to a sense of comfort and fit on it. When he started the 94 season, they gave him his pads, but he got on the ice and they just didn't feel right. So we're in the preseason, and I remember getting a phone call from the Montreal Canadiens, says, you got to come in. Patrick wants to talk to you. And when I got into the room, Patrick took a scalpel and he cut open the side of the pad, but not, instead of opening up the pad properly, he just put a knife and he cut right through the leather. And he says, see these pads? I says, I don't like how they feel. And I says, look at this old pad. This is what I want. So I had to take, it was probably around noon by the time I got there and got the pads, and I had to come back to the shop, and I took the pads completely apart, like opened them up like a book, took all the stuffing, took all the foam out, and rebuilt the pad completely. And I think I worked till midnight or 1 o'clock. And then they had an early skate the next morning. I got early to the Canadiens, dropped the pads into the room, left them there, got back, and after the practice, I got a phone call, and it was Corso, it was Patrick on the phone. He says, nice job on the pads. And I was it. He was happy with it. And so that was my like, oh my goodness, like what am I gonna do with this, you know? So it was one of those moments that you don't forget, but it was a blast, you know. There's and I have many others memories that I had. Another, each player is different. Everybody wants some very specific, and some guys can be like quite annoying about some stuff.
We're not gonna ask you to start listing names off, even though I know the guys are dying.
I can share this story with you. This is the story that goes back to the day when Paul Coffey was playing for Pittsburgh, and whenever they would come into town, this is part of the relationship I built with the Canadiens. I would also take care of the Canadiens, but I would take care of the visiting team. And so when Pittsburgh was in town, Paul Coffey always had something on his skate. Now this guy would wear anywhere from a size 6.5 to a size 8 skate. He sometimes the toes crushed up complete to the toe cap to there's a gap. Don't ask me. And he went through a ton of pair of skates. Sometimes you'll take his skates, he'll ship them to a buddy in the American Hockey League. His buddy would wear them for a month, ship them back to him, and then he was always modifying his skates. And this was during the very last Canada Cup. So 1995 was the last time that we had this Canada Cup, that international tournament. And I was doing work. Phone rings, and it's actually Paul Coffey on the phone. It says, Marco, I want you to come, and I got a pair of skates that I want you to tweak for me. So I get down to the Molson Center. It was called the Molson Center at the time, and I says, okay, where's Paul? So, well, he's in the back room. So I get into the back room, and who's there? Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, Paul Coffey. Three of the best players in the world. And I spent 45 minutes with them talking about this and that, golf, whatever they were talking about. And Paul Coffey gives me his skates, and he wanted me to do a little stitch just on the side. And he took a pen. He said, this is what I want you to stitch, and I want you to put it real tight and do this. And I said, that's it. He says, that's it. Come back. And when I got back then, he was playing with an aluminum stick with the wooden blade that they would replace it. Autographed one and handed it to me at the end. So it was a really cool memory. But these guys would tweak their blades. Some of these guys would tweak blades between periods. Like the equipment manager would come in and says, I want you to offset my blade by 1/8 of an inch. So imagine you got all the rivets on the bottom of the skates. You got to take all the rivets off and you got to shift it by 1/8 of an inch. But you already got holes in there. So you got to try to realign it perfectly and do that between periods of a game. So some of these equipment managers, kudos to them because they work very, very hard to get these guys and some of these guys, and they feel everything. We're talking about sticks, 1/8 of an inch on moving of a blade. I'll say 97% of hockey players wouldn't even feel the difference. These guys feel everything. They can feel when the edge is off. They can feel if the ice is softer, if the ice is harder. They feel everything right through the foot. They have an absolute feel of what the skate is doing on the ice. It's insane, but it's true. Yeah, and it's amazing to be able to see this. And so when you're working with your hands and you're working with these guys, you get a good sense of what they're able to feel and not know.
Just on a different level.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think you get a really good appreciation for it when you kind of get a bit more insight into, the reasons why they make the decisions that they do. Because obviously when you're watching the game from the telly or for like streaming it online, you see stuff and you recognize that they're doing things differently, but you don't really know why. Or does that really matter? Are they just being picky? But then, as you get to know the way these guys think and the way they operate, it's just they're just not normal. It's the only way to kind of describe it. Do you know what I mean? But no, it's incredible. But in terms of like a question I did have that I wanted to ask you, and it's one that I wanted to ask you the last time that we saw you, which is over a year now.
Yeah.
And it was about just the general development of equipment. Like obviously you've been involved in hockey for such a long time. So like
my question.
Was that your question?
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously kind of leading on to what Chris was saying, you've been in the game for a while. What science-wise, what has been the biggest changes you've seen in equipment in like the last decade or so?
Well, the composite sticks for sure, but it's not just if you look at back in the day when we went from a wooden stick to an aluminum stick, the aluminum sticks were just one single tube of aluminum. There were not too much difference in adjustment on it. And then they put the wooden blade on it, and it wasn't until people saying, well, the feel was different and where the science behind it really started moving forward. And when we went from aluminum to composite fiber, there's an entire science how the sticks react and how they move and how they flex and adjusting the kick points, where they bend, how the blade reacts, how the blade is made. That side of it is mind. And it's not something that I'm involved with. This is really something that you'd be talking with the sticks guys. These guys can really go into a lot more depth and give you a lot more detail on the stick side. But that part of it's amazing on how that has created. On the skate side, well, I think the move from the 3-part boot to the one frame boot, that is a huge jump for us on how that technology is working, how the boot reacts directly to the blade and onto the runner. Just looking at the quality since we acquired Step Steel has made a name for itself just in the quality of the runner. To say, I'll go into a store, buy a pair of skates, and it says, here, I want a pair of Step Steel, because there's a sense of there is performance out of that blade, and the science and the technology behind the type of steel and how it's processed and how it's put together, and when it's sharpened and you step on the ice, there's a sense of, wow, I can feel a difference. You get on the ice and you know that there's something different. Go on a regular blade, go on a Step Steel, and he says, whoa, there's a difference on this ice. You can feel the performance. You can feel the difference as soon as you get on the ice. The impact is immediate. And when it comes to protective gear, it's always about being as light as possible, how the equipment dries. I remember back in the day, we used to wear your equipment and you used to get off the ice and it was soaking wet. And 3 days later, it's still soaking wet. And you got to get back on the ice and it's still wet. And people don't think about it, but right now you take your hockey gear, put it on, and you take it out, and it's dry. But you hang it up to dry, and it's oh, I can get back on the ice, and that part of it is huge. And water retention is also huge. You put gear can weigh 3-4 pounds after it's soaking wet. So if we can get that dynamic behind it, and keeping the body cool, all these things behind the science is how does the body react with the gear that you're wearing. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of science that we're talking about, having a sense of even the diets that the players are using. All these things are all coming into it, and we look at all of that. We look at all of that parts of how we do, and when we're creating, it's not just the gear itself, but how does the gear adhere to the body? Is the movement proper? Is everything, is the biomechanics make sense? And how can we allow this piece of equipment so the player, one, feels protected but doesn't feel restrained from the equipment? So the body is moving the way it's supposed to move on the ice, and they get that performance. If how many times I remember even growing up, something happens and you wanted your gear shifted, or something happened, and someone scored a goal, or you missed a shot, and because something didn't fit or something moved on you. So if everything is working, everything is connected, then the performance is there, and you don't miss those opportunities. And you just look at the game and say, wow, it's amazing that we were able to help move the game forward. Look how fast it is. You go watch the hockey game from the mid 70s to the 80s, and you watch a hockey game now, and it goes, man, it's slow compared to what's going on, and how fast these guys are, and how mobile and how the game is played. These guys, the way they spin, they rotate, and it just shifts. It's how they pivot so quickly. It's just amazing to be able to see. And so we have to answer your question, being a guy of old school, this is what I do. I keep a foot in the past, and I keep a foot in the future, because I've seen it in the past, and I've seen what works and what didn't work. And so when I come in and I'm working with young designers and developers, and they're great, it's a great team, and they'll come up with concept and ideas. And my question to them is, I want to build a prototype. What do you think? And it's this is what I'm thinking, and I'll ask them why.
Yeah.
Explain the why to me. If you can explain the why you want to do this, and it makes sense, I'll buy into it. But if not, I'm going to challenge them. I says, you got to explain the why. Why is this important? Why is this idea or this concept important? And where do you want to go with it? And I'll go into it. And then I'll say, okay, did you try this, or did you think about this? And what about that? Oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. And all of a sudden, two heads come together, and then you come up with a prototype. And sometimes I get surprised. Sometimes they come up with something, and I'll look at them and I go, what are you talking about? That's I didn't say it. It's in the back of my head. That's just dumb. I'm not, that ain't going to work. And then, but again, why? And then they come up with a why, and I go, okay. And then I says, okay, then I have to get my foot out of the past and bring it to the future, and says, okay, let's try it. And then all of a sudden I'm going, okay, this makes sense. Let's move forward on it. Go to the next step. So it's always about trying to move forward on it. And sometimes we'll it's like when guys create, you go to a car show, and you got this futuristic car that's out there, and they push the absolute limit on this car, and you go, yeah, but you'll never see that car on the road. But there are 4 or 5 things that they put on there that trickles down into, and this we can take this and we can actually make this functional. And so it's okay to push the limits on something that is out of this world, that doesn't make sense. But maybe there's 1 or 2 pieces on there that this is a really good idea. This can work. This is a game changer. This is going to change the game.
I never thought about it.
That's good theory to have.
Yeah. Because you do wonder when you see concepts of stuff, like what was the point of making something no one could get their hands on? And then it's like, it's because there'll be things or features or elements that get pulled from that concept and then used in the next development of the product. So I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. Well, we'll go into a brainstorming room, and we'll come up with 50 ideas. and they're all over the place. There's 50 ideas. Then from these 50s, we'll streamline them down to 25. Let's make 25 easy prototypes. Nothing special, nothing fancy. Let's see if what we're coming up with makes sense. And then all of a sudden, that 25 is brought down to, oh, this concept is close to this one. Let's see if we can bring them together. And then you're down to 10. Then you end up with a working model. It's okay. This is a direction. Let's see if, and then we bring it up to the BU, be it protective or be it skate, be it the goalie, and say, what do you think of that? That's a very good idea. Let's develop that and see where it goes. And all of a sudden, you out of a whole bunch, you got one that came in and it moves forward on it. And it's very interesting to be able to see that, because we're always working 2 years ahead, sometimes 3 years ahead.
Just about to ask that.
And so someone goes, oh yeah, you just launched that, and I go, I seen that 2.5 years ago, because we worked on that too. But
this is a problem for me though, like, because coming to see you guys, it's like, even like I'm not going to say the name of the item that we discussed before we hit record, because I know that we can't talk about that, and it's like stuff like that's frustrating. But it's like we came to see you, and that was a year ago, and I was looking at the AS3. And I was like, why is it called the AS3 and not the AS2? And you guys explained why you've done that. And I was just like, okay, cool. Yeah. And it's probably more than a year ago, actually, now that I was there. Maybe like a year and 6 months. And those aren't even out yet.
No.
So it's when you see that time scale, and it's why, like, sometimes I really like it when you guys show me stuff really early. But then at the same time, I'm like, now I have to forget this for the next 2 years.
You can't say anything about it.
Back to the future kind of thing. Yeah.
Honestly, it's brutal. So sometimes you sit there and you think, maybe it would have been better for me not to know, because now I want to do stuff with this, and I can't because it's just way too early.
Yeah.
But that's what I was going to ask. Like, so when you guys get a product and you go through the different prototypes and you decide, okay, this is what it's going to look like, this is what features it's going to have, roughly how long is that process from here's the concept to here's us announcing the product? I know you guys said that you work, 2-3 years in advance, but what's the time frame of, like, the conception to the actual, now we're ready to send this to retail stores and start promoting?
We work on we're working with 2 windows. We're working on a shorter window, like 2022, and then we're working on 2023. And so you got 2022, 2023. And so we're working on sometimes two different concept lines. And the 2022 has started already in the hub, and then we're already working on the ideas for 2023, and then the process. So usually it's about 18 months, sometimes 2 years, and sometimes you'll get a concept that it's so new or we're working into it, and sometimes it's not ready, so we have to hold back on it, and sometimes we'll hold back 6 months, and then we'll have to wait before we can launch it, or we're not ready to launch it, or what's in the market, and there's other parts that we have to wait to what marketing wants to do and have the idea. So we're always like we're building a whole bunch of stuff in this hub, and sometimes some stuff will sit there longer than others, but usually if a concept is really good and moves forward, and they won't present something to the senior leadership team if they can't put it to market. If they can't answer all the questions that the senior leadership team needs to know to launch it to market, they're going to hold it back because it's not ready yet. And once we have all the answers from the suppliers, can we do this? Sometimes we come up with concepts, and it's not ready to go to market, or it's not viable enough, or we don't have the technology, the suppliers don't have the right materials yet sometimes. And that's why when we ourselves will go to different trade shows, and we're going to go look at what is being done in the automotive, what is being done in the outdoors and camping and biking and all these other products, and what are they using, or what are the concepts that they might use. And so that maybe we can take that and incorporate it into something that we're doing or close to it, or improve. So it gives us like, oh wow, this is really cool. They're
like
using
the whole D3O thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking what is out there, and what can we do? You want to laugh about the D3O? I have a friend who is coaches the Olympic fencing team and they're just a friend of mine. This is when I was at the All-Star game in San Jose, and she coaches the team, and I know very little thing about fencing, and she was talking because. So a friend of mine, yeah, Marco does these modifications on gear and that, and she goes up to me and she says, "Hey, do you know that as if you're fencing and you want to get somebody, they'll get you right here in this section. It's like even though they have the chest pad, there's a point over here." And she says it really digs in. And I go, I have something. I'm gonna send something. So I had a small piece of D3O and I sent it to her, and she sent me back an email and says, "What is this stuff? This is fantastic. This is absolutely awesome." And so just putting a small piece, putting it there and doing it, and it made me laugh. And you see that the smartphone technology and stuff that's coming out really can make a difference, impacting on our product. So we're always looking for what's new out there. What are the technologies that we can take and we can bring into our products to make our products better as well. So
I think there's always a misconception with equipment for a lot of people. They think that it's essentially gimmick. Like when you see developments, you see new products being launched, it's like where do you draw the line between this is actually something that's going to have an effect on your performance?
Well, that looks crazy.
Exactly. And I think that's the difficulty. But when you explain things the way you're touching on them now, it becomes very easy to see, okay, like there's a lot of like thought and planning and preparation that goes into everything that they do, and there's a reason for everything.
A lot of crazy ideas, but like you said, a lot of good can come from crazy ideas if you merge them together in the right way. How do you guys, I mean, I'm a big Bauer guy. I use Bauer. I know in the past, like certainly over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of guys that have made the switch to CCM on everything. Occasionally you'll see, I know Austin Matthews made the switch last season. I mean, obviously you guys don't go direct to them. It's more so maybe they try it. But once you get a wind or a word of them, what is it that kind of sways them to just go, like, look, I'll take it all. I'll start using it all. So 'cause I know Ovechkin's another one. He's been back and forward a couple of times. So
yeah.
That's a good question.
It's a great question.
Been sitting on that one for a while.
There's a business side to it that the marketing really works on that side to it. But what our goal is if you look at these key endorsees that we have, are like our ambassadors who wear our product. They're ambassadors in the dressing room. If you look at a guy like Sid or Ovi, and then look at all the other guys in the room who now start wearing CCM because of that ambassador in the room. There's a great relationship that's built with them. And then you get the young kids who are watching their idols and they're saying, "Oh wow, this is what he wants." And they said, "Mom, I want what he's wearing. This if he's playing like that and he's doing this." And they'll get the gloves, they'll get the sticks, and just go look at the videos of the young kids doing the trick shots that the pro guys are doing. It's just wild to be able to see them how they want to do. They want to aspire. These guys have an impact on these young kids on what they can aspire, and so building these relationships. So I remember John Tavares when he was still playing with the London Knights. He was 16 years old, and that's the first time. My goodness, that's when I met him. So he came over with his mom and his dad and the sister, and they were just talking about stuff. And the very, very, very first thing that I fixed for John Tavares, he had a cracked kneecap on his shin pad. And so I took the kneecap, I replaced it for him, and then I had him autograph it. So I got a busted kneecap with John Tavares, his very first autograph. He wasn't even playing in the NHL yet. And so, but as soon as he went in there, he's been an awesome ambassador for us. And some guys are very, very loyal to the brand, and they're into it, and this is what they want to do.
Did you suspect he was going to be great? Like, is that why you got him to autograph it, or at 16?
At 16. Well, he at that year he had broken it. So he was a rookie. They had changed the rules for the Canadian Hockey League. They dropped the age. He came in at 16 to the Canadian Hockey League, and he broke Wayne Gretzky rookie's year for scoring. He scored 72 goals that year at 16. So He was off the chart. I remember watching him on the ice skating. He came in the summer and he had a whole bunch of our our CCM guys, and they were skating, and I'm watching this hand, and I'm going, and he looked slow. I mean, he looked like he was just slumbered, not moving very much. And then all of a sudden, he's like sitting right, he's at the red line, and a puck comes out, and the Jets get on. He went, I'm telling you, 4 strides. He went from behind the red line to the hash mark between the two circles. Puck was in the top corner, and I'm going, you can tell why they're there. You can tell why they're at the top of the game. They don't waste the energy that's on the ice. When the Jets got to go on, they go on and they move, and it's just amazing to see the skill set. You know, just a blast to be able to do that. So
yeah,
a lot of fun. I have my own John Tavares story. We this was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. They come in over the summer. We set him up the gear, and he said, "Oh, we're going to the rink," and says, "Do you want to go in nets?" And he'll shoot some pucks on you. So I'm in nets, and John Tavares is shooting pucks on me, and so it was he was at that hash mark. He probably took 8 or 9 pucks, and I'm there, and he's just snapping the puck, and it's picking the corners, and he's shooting the puck and go there. And about 8 or 9 minutes in, I'm drenched. I'm just sweating. I'm just like dying, trying to catch my breath. And he comes up to me. He goes, "Are you warmed up yet, Marco?" I'm ready to keel over. Never mind that. It just, you know what people say? How do you know that they're there? That jump from this level, the speed is just there. They're it's at a different level in speed. You're watching it on TV. It doesn't seem like it, but if you're on the ice with them, oh boy, what a difference! What a difference! It's just it's like driving a little Ford Focus, and this is the Lamborghini. Forget it. You're out. There's no way. You're not going to be able to keep up with it. It's just amazing how the skill set is there, and the guys, and they work hard. They train hard all the time, and it's all about staying in shape and looking at these guys. So I've been around these guys long enough to for the respect to see what they do and the quality of the performance, and they play, and it's there. It's just amazing to be able to I have a very different pair of lenses to watch these guys. And so when I'm watching hockey and I'm looking at it, I'm looking at the gear, I'm looking at the sticks, I'm looking at the gloves, I'm watching the game. They pan the bends, I'm counting helmets, I'm looking at the visors, I'm a gearhead. I look at it very differently when I'm watching the hockey game, and I'm looking at the center ice, and what skate is he wearing, and what's that guy, and why is he wearing, and it's amazing. And for me, it's just the way it is. I look at it in a different perspective, and I look at how the guys play the game and how the play breaks out and develops, and that inspires me to see these guys going out there. And I said, look, I have a small little part in what these guys are doing, so that's pretty cool.
No, it's epic
to be able to.
But
yeah.
Also, coming back to the JJ's earlier question of how you guys how you guys at CCM actually get the athletes to then kind of like make the switch and pull the trigger on going from.
Yeah, and I wasn't so much like make the switch. Obviously, that's a personal thing, but yeah, I used Austin Matthews as an example because I know obviously when he first broke into the NHL, he was all Bauer and had kind of used it while he was playing in Zurich and whatnot. And then you see a couple of pictures floating around on social media. I think he tried the Warrior Twig in the summer, one of the STX sticks as well, and then season started and he was full kind of like CCM'd out. So
what happened?
Well, no, not so much what happened. You know, he's done unbelievable with it. So it was clearly a right switch. So
well, the guys are not going to switch over if their gear is not working for them, and so we're being very, very gear oriented for them. But there's also a marketing side. There's a part of where it's business. It's the player, it's their agent, it's dealing with the company, and does that person does he emanate what our CCM values are? We're not going to put somebody who is not going to emanate what our core values of the company are and the values that we want as CCM to be. And so we're looking at these certain players and says, yeah, he would be a good ambassador for us. And that's the upper part of the marketing guys. They'll go into it and they'll negotiate either with the agent, with the player, speak to them. I remember one of our new 910 helmet that we're working on. Have you seen that one, Chris? Yes.
I've seen images of it, and I'm speaking with the guys in Sweden about getting some over. I think we already have some on the way. It's just a
have
case
you put
of
one on? Have you won one with?
Not yet.
No. Okay. Well, see, again, this is technology that I have seen over a year ago. When you put that helmet on your head, call me and then we'll have a conversation.
It's like that, yeah.
That's exactly you want. You know what? We when we came out and we introduced it and we started showing the equipment manager on it. The thing is, we wanted to go very slow, certain amount of quantities, get our key guys on it, put it on, and the guys put on the helmet and they go, whoa! It's like instantaneous. There is like from here to here, and this is huge. And so, and you get a guy comes in here, and a Bauer guy comes in, and he puts that on, and he goes, "Oh wow, can I get one of these?" And it's because it says this is going to impact. This is going to change something for me.
Yeah.
And so when you have those moments of wow when they're there, it's amazing. You were talking to me about another type of technologies. Look how quick release has changed hockey.
Yeah,
quick
for
release
sure.
blade. So that was, how necessity is the mother of invention. This is an equipment manager. This is an NHL equipment manager saying, look, there has to be a better way for me to switch out my guys without taking off the skates and off that. So if we had a quick release blade that comes in, and then slowly that changed. Now it is part of the market. Everybody, if you're not part of that, then you're not part of the game. You're way behind. You're way behind.
I felt like you guys took longer to do it, but I think we've all agreed that you've done the better job. We even had an argument with Ricky, our camera operator, who's behind the camera right now. He was like, "Oh, the Bauer one looks better," and we were just like, "Okay, well, you try and take the blade out with that one. I'll do this one." And the time it took me to pop the blade out with the XS holder, put the blade back in, he'd just taken it out. And it's just it's
so... the Bauer ones get weaker.
But no, they're either
no, they
really
do. I can now take mine out just like...
Yeah, but they give you a tool inside the box to remove the blade. That's there for
like the first couple of months. I can do it now with my fingers.
It's there for a reason. And then what happens, you'll see the videos that are on YouTube of people using that Lightspeed Edge holder with the freaking runners just popping out left, right, and center during games. I don't think...
You mean the Bambi, we call them the Bambi videos, like Bambi 1 on
there's a name. There's a name for it.
No, they do, because you're like, they'll block a shot, lose a skill, and then they're like hopping back to the bench.
That's not happened. Like today, I don't recall seeing that happen once in a professional game with the XS.
No. I haven't seen any, and I haven't seen, and even if the dial breaks, the blade stays in place. It won't pop off. And we have done so many testing on impacts and shooting pucks at 100 miles an hour on different parts of the holder and making sure that everything stays in place. It's part of that technology. So sometimes we're depending on how things come out of the gate, but it's always about, sometimes, like I was telling you, sometimes something's in the hopper and it's not right. It's not ready yet. And to put something out that's not ready is just going to blow up in your face. And that's not part of what we do. If we're going to do something, we do it right. And if it takes us a little bit longer, well, then it takes us a little bit longer to do.
No, that's fair. I think it's the right approach to get it right, regardless of if that adds on months or years. It's the better way of doing things for sure.
Yeah.
But in terms of what is next for development, where obviously you're at 2023, you know what's coming, but in terms of what you're able to share, like where do things go from here? Like, are we running out of ways to innovate, or are you still sat back going, no, there's still so much that we've not even scratched the surface of?
Oh, you know what? They're like they never stop innovating. You can go to a car show every year, and there's always going to be the car of the future. Well, we're taking that same. What is the hockey gear of the future, and what does it look like? It's about thinking out even before what any hockey player. They're not even thinking, well, what is the hockey gear of the future? We're saying we're going to try to innovate. We're going to see where we can push the envelope and see where it's going to go, and we're going to try stuff. And I know I've seen stuff. I'm going like, I don't think that's going to work. But there's an idea, there's a concept within this that may have some great potential on it. So we're unfortunately, I can't tell you about certain. I'd love to drop some words, but I just
really
can't.
hard. Didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
You tried really hard.
What about when we stopped recording, Marco? What about when we stopped recording?
Oh wow.
Off the record, I'll tell you something.
Hey, I feel bad now. Like everyone that's watching this, I'm so sorry.
New helmet.
Pardon?
I want to hear about the new helmets.
Yeah, I did.
I was a big convertee. I won't lie. I was always used Bauer up until season just gone. We got given. I don't know what model they are.
The 710.
Yeah, the 710. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, instant, like so soft to sit on your head. So if these new ones are good, I definitely want to give
but you've
those a
been
go.
saying that for how long?
Yeah, I know.
We've been shooting videos of the ring, and you put mine on, and always
never wanted to make
one.
a move, but I've done so now. So
There you go. That's what's important. I think I'm pretty certain I ordered. I think there's 3 coming. There should be 3 coming. I'm trying to recall.
have they not got D3O in? What?
I don't know anything about the technology that's in them. So what's the tech like?
Well, the tech is pretty amazing.
Is it D3O?
Yeah, it is. No, it's not. It's something completely different. So,
okay.
Well, I want you to take a look at it and you put it on your head, and it'd be great. Call me back and we'll have a conversation over it. It'd be great because it's I want you to do that. You know, every once in a while you have that aha moment. You put something on and you go, holy wow, this is mind boggling. This is like, wow, this is really off. And that's the out of the box experience that we want you to have.
Okay,
so
that's fine. I'll do that.
I'm going to leave it there. And when you get them and you go on there, I want you to tell me, yeah, okay, Marco, you're right. That's exactly what I had as a feeling on it.
No, perfect. We'll do that. I'm pretty sure that they're either going to be arriving either end of this week or early next week. So not too far off getting them. So once they pop into the office, then I'll put one on. I'll give you a shout and let you know what I thought.
Sounds good. That'd be awesome. Really, really good.
There we go. What about yourselves, guys? What other questions do you have in terms of?
No, that was it. Mind blown from the stories and whatnot. So
there is
a good conversation.
There you go.
Me and Jay had a bit of a debate with Chris a couple of episodes ago about sticks and skates. What would you say the pros think are more important? Skates or sticks or both? Me and Jay said both are equally important. What do you think the pros would say if they would ask that question?
You know what? It depends of the player. It depends of the player. If you take a guy like Crosby, it's both. Absolutely both. And
he's not going to live this down, Marco. Ever. He's not going to live this down.
If you take I'll look. I've been in dressing rooms where the player trusts his equipment manager. So if you tell the players, okay, could you sharpen it? What kind of hollow do you have? He says, I have no idea. Talk to my equipment manager. Yeah, he doesn't know what hollow he's skating on. And so for him, that is, as long as the skate is performing and it's fitting and he's great. But you got other guys, they want to know everything, the feel, the flex, the softness, the stiffness, the size of the toe cap. They're into everything of how the skate is working. And when it comes to sticks, it's the same thing. It's about the feel. Some people are all about the feel.
Can't pick.
And so I you know what? It's really depends on the player. But
that's a good enough answer for us. We'll take a win.
Yeah. You've made their day. Thank you, Marco.
There you go.
No, that's fair. I'll let you have that one. I just always felt like skates would always be the most critical, because I feel like pro players or just players in general, if I was given the option, this is from me, I'm not trying to say I'm a pro, we all know I'm not a pro, I'm not anywhere close to a pro, but if I was given the option of you could pick, you could either have a pair of skates that fit you perfectly, or you can have a stick that is, exactly what you want it to be, but you can't have both. Like, which one would you pick? I'd be like, so long as it's right-handed and it's the right height, I don't care about the stick, but I want to make sure the skates are right.
Yeah, but we went over this.
Yeah.
So far off.
We went over this.
Couldn't be further from the correct answer.
We went over this.
No way.
Well, that's what I would.
Anything else? Gloves, helmet, anything kind of, leg pads, elbow pad, not a problem. But the two main things that you need, and I'm sure Marco backs up for all the pros.
Yeah,
It's what you need.
Couldn't agree more.
So,
I'm just saying, like, that's how I would approach the situation. Yeah, happy with the stick. Give me whatever.
Well,
curve.
you know what though, it's if there is gear, it's both. If you talk to people, it's about the skates and it's about the sticks, and it depends on. I think it's a debate you can split down the middle, and some guys will be more on skates, some will be more on sticks. But you know what? If you go into other leagues and the teams supply you a stick, here's your sticks. This is the curve that you have. You got 6 sticks. This is what you're using.
Yeah.
And so the focus is on the skate. So it depends on the players. So some guys are very keen into profiling of the blade, or they're very keen into the pitch of the angle. They're very into the feel. Like some guys, you can sharpen skates, and they couldn't tell you the difference between a 5/8 and it's a little bit sharper, but I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me. And you can take a guy and you just change it by 1,000 of an inch in the hollow, and he knows that there's something different. You change something. It's not exactly the same. And so some people feel absolutely everything. Like some people get on the ice and my edge is going. I don't like it. I need you to touch up my edge and go into it. So the guys right now with all the removable blades, they're on the bench and they're slapping on fresh blades between periods.
Jeez.
So
because they can now.
They can between shifts. They'll change a blade if they're not going on there. There's a power plate. Okay, change my blades. I want to slightly put my blades on. You know what I mean? And it's the guys are walking around. They got their cases, and each player has 3 to 6 pairs of blades, and that's what they'll go on to it, and they'll sharpen them. And it's pretty amazing how the hockey has changed in that aspect on it.
A bit of a. I don't know if it will be an awkward question, but I think it depends on what your answer is. And it's what, in your opinion, has been in, say, the last 10 years, or even not even that, let's say the last couple of years, what products that have dropped from CCM or any other manufacturer have you sat there and gone, fair play, well done? Like, is there anything that stands out over the last few years that you've looked at and been like, that was a pretty significant advancement?
Well, we talked about it, the quick release blade, and I think the biggest thing would be right now is our 3D boot, but coming up the pipe is our new helmet and the new lining that we have inside of it.
Yeah,
that will be a game changer. The market's going to look at that and say, "Whoa, you guys really knocked that one out of the park."
Okay, it's okay. You're getting excited about this helmet now. I'm a bit annoyed I don't have it here now because I want to see what's happening with this thing. Yeah, but no, we're
really excited.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah.
Any other questions you guys had? I have one more. If you guys don't have any,
go for it,
man.
My last question, and this is one that me and Ricky were talking about when we left Montreal the first time we got to connect with you in film and video, is. With everything that everyone that you've worked with, your very unique skill set that you have, is there like an apprentice that you're passing on your knowledge onto?
Not at this point. Not at this point. There's I don't know of many who are in it. There are people out there who do tweak and do modify and do product, but I don't see anybody up the pipeline specifically of what I do and the background that I have.
I think a mission between us is to make sure that you have an apprentice to learn your skill set. Because it's like the stuff that we've discussed and what you do, I think it's
should never be lost.
Exactly. Like, you know, when we're looking back, you know, 50 years from now, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, who's taken over and now who's carrying the torch in this field of what you do? Because I had no idea the extent of the customizations and the intricacy of the job that you do until we spent essentially a full day with you in the lab at CCM's HQ, and you were kind of running us through everything that you did. And it was like, I remember you opened that drawer of palms, and I was like, I didn't even know they had that. There was like more material than I could count. And it's like, oh, these are all different palms for like different pro players or for different situations. I was like, what? But so I think that's definitely something that we should try and see if we can figure out, because I think hockey needs it for sure.
Yeah.
I think you guys would.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Yeah.
No, for sure. We'll figure out a way of tackling that. Or if anyone's watching this video and wants to become Marco's apprentice, then hit us up in the comment section.
There you go.
Ricky's asking if you've got any jobs behind the camera. That's awesome. But Marco, we are going to be planning coming up to Montreal at some point when this situation across the world settles down. It's definitely on the list of places that we need to come back to. It'd be good to connect with you while we're there. If we'll give you a heads up and hopefully we can get together.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
I'd love to have you over. Yeah, no, it's just great. It was when you came over, it was a great opportunity to share with you and have a conversation and talk about hockey and old war stories. It's just hockey is a blast. There's some really it's the passion that's behind it and the enjoyment of playing it. And you know what? I tell people I'm going on here. I'm meeting Chris. He's in Manchester. He's on the other side. And he's in England. Yeah. He says, you drive what 40 minutes to go play hockey to the closest rink? Is that what you told me last time?
It's like an hour. If I'm coming to you guys, it's like an hour and 20.
Yeah, if you come down to us, you come down to London where it's about an hour, but you got a rink not far from here now.
We have a rink. We've not even skated. This is the worst bit. Like, we have a rink now that is it's brand new, not even a year old.
6 months old.
Yeah, and it's not even 2 miles down the road.
And it was used for a month.
We've not played hockey at it, not once yet, because we've just it was travel, work, and then schedules wouldn't align, and then this pandemic. So it's just like, okay, great, now finally got our wish and we can't even use it. But yeah, it's between 40 minutes and an hour is the normal trip.
But look at the passion. Look at the passion that you're willing to take that time and drive that hour to go play hockey and look at what you're doing and the impact that you have and people that are following you and looking at what you're doing. It's awesome. It's just really good that
thank you, Marco.
You're promoting. You're being that person out there and saying, look, this is what we have. These are the products. Look at them. What you think. Compare this to that, and it's really cool. It's just awesome to be able there. And look, whenever you're in Montreal, come on over. Shoot me up. It'll be great. Let me know when you're there.
I will do, Marco. Thank you so much, man. It's definitely big props getting a compliment like that from somebody in your position. So thank you very much, man. I really appreciate that.
Not a problem. You gonna bring some skates and get on the ice with us in Montreal?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring my own skates this time because the skates I got while I was there. Oh my goodness! I think I fell over playing like about 17 times, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?" I was like, "All the guys at CCM now are gonna think I can't even friggin' skate. This is just this isn't what I wanted." But yeah, I'll bring my own ones with me and make sure I can.
So there's your perfect example when the gear is not yours and it doesn't fit.
Oh, trust me.
You can't focus on the game. You can't focus because something's not working. Your body's not following what you want.
Trust me.
So if you get on the ice and you're not thinking about your gear and you're thinking about the game, then I did my job. You see what I mean?
For sure.
That's the importance of it.
For sure. No, I completely get that. It's I had firsthand experience of that for the first time. I'm no hot shot, but I can skate in a straight line without falling over. But back in Montreal, I could not. It was shocking. So I'll definitely bring the skates that I'm using right now for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, but thank you very much for joining us, Marco. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for answering the barrage of questions that we had for you, and looking forward to connecting you when we're back in Montreal.
Excellent.
As always, guys, a big thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If you're listening to the podcast on any of the podcast service sites or streaming platforms, make sure that you're rating it, giving it a thumbs up. We've seen the ratings that are coming in already, so big thank you for everyone that has. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you thumbs up and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you can stay up to date with all of the videos that we post. And we will catch you in Season 2, Episode 2. Thanks again, guys, and take care.
Excellent.
I think that's the first time he's ever done it in one take.
Good. You've done that, but you've been practicing, haven't you?
No. I think it's just because Marco's on the call. He didn't want to do his like 10 outtakes.
It's because Marco's here. I could mess up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Marco.
So you want some scoops now?
Yeah, give me some scoops. Give me some scoops.